What is up, guys? Jake from One Hive here with the reaction video to the latest post from Supercell, what they have called Balancing Blog Series March 2016 update. And just the name in and of itself, a Balancing Blog Series, are you kidding me? I swear the people at Supercell have been abducted by robots. This is not the same company that we started 2016 with, and it's a good thing. And I've been probably one of Supercell's harshest critics at times, um, but I always feel like it was fair and warranted. I've never just been, F Supercell, whatever. I don't have any problem Supercell. I love their game. I have for a long time, but they have made a lot of monumental errors along the way. Not saying that anybody wouldn't, but there, at the end of 2015 and the start of 2016, what I was screaming and what I was, begging for more or less, and I think a lot of other people were too, is just communicate with us, talk to us, listen to us. And it seems like, towards the end of the first quarter of this year, that is what they're doing. And you've got to give them credit. They respond to tweets more, they tweet stuff more, I mean, literally a blog, Supercell has always just said, here's what you get, and that's it, and they close the doors, and we get to play with it. So props to them for opening up the doors a little bit, communicating with us, tell us what they're thinking. I mean, that goes a long, long way. At least even if we disagree with them, which there's some things that I disagree with, but it doesn't matter. We're not always going to get what we want, but for them to say, here's what we're thinking, here's what we're doing, and here's why we're doing it, and to name it a blog, which indicates to me this is going to be an ongoing thing, and they pretty much say as much in the post, that they're going to continue to tweak things and try to balance, which is what we've been begging for basically for 2 years now. So props to Supercell. Going to give them credit right up front on the video. Very, very proud of them. Happy to see stuff like this coming out of there. So let's just go through it sort of point by point. I'll give you my thoughts. Might not agree with me, might not be what you think necessarily, but these are just my thoughts from my experience. So people usually ask for it, and I've already read a lot of comments wanting to hear it, so here it is. The Town Hall 11 changes. The Grand Warden Life Aura and Elemental Tome range reduced slightly. I can't speak to this much because I'm not a Town Hall 11, but I will say this. Town Hall 11 is the pinnacle of the game right now, and they've got to try to find a balance. You don't ever want, and we'll get more to this a little bit later, but you don't ever want attacks to be brainless, and lack of a better term. You don't want just spam attacks being successful. Putting it down, here's my attack, here's all my troops, let's see what happens. I'm just throwing some spells in there, and let's see how it goes. And I think that's why they're doing that, because right now, Town Hall 11 is a little bit of just a spam fest. Muscle, no finesse. And I don't think, at least from what they've told us in the direction that they're showing us they're going, that's what Supercell wants, and I don't blame them. It doesn't show skill when people do that. It's just, like I said, it's just raw brute force. It's just muscle. So I think this is just a move in that direction. Are Town Hall 11's happy, unhappy about this? I don't. They're probably not loving it. They're notorious getting nerfed, which I understand. I probably wouldn't either. But it's probably actually at its root a good thing. It's at least showing the right mindset from Supercell. Whether this, I haven't played Town Hall 11. I can't tell you how balanced, imbalanced. I haven't tested things like they have, but at least they're saying, hey, we're trying to find that right balance, and we feel like this is a little bit too strong, which it probably is. The Warden is it's massive, so probably not a bad change there. Town Hall 10 plus changes. Inferno Tower mode acquires multi-mode acquires new targets faster. This one just makes you cringe, and I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying the thought of an Inferno Tower getting a buff, even it be an ever so slight buff, it's just like, what? These things, we've been trying to deal with them for years. They're so overpowered. They just wipe out armies, and now you're giving it a little bit of a buff on multi-load. Again, the reason they're saying they're doing it is because it was done because they were wiping out skeletons too fast, but now the skeletons are a little bit stronger. Larger hordes, they need to be able to acquire those multiple targets a little quicker. Probably not that big a deal because mass skeleton attacks are not going to be what you see anyways, and we'll talk about that again here in a moment. But it is, probably not a huge deal, but you just sort of cringe when you hear something about an Inferno Tower and it's not a nerf, it's a buff. So I don't know about this one. Town Hall 10 and 11 players are less likely to find each other in multiplayer. Very good. This is what I screamed about in Clash Royale, is that, as you progress through a game of Supercells, you tend to always, and you get higher, level, let's call it, whatever you want to call it. It's trophies in both games, but you tend to get matched up with people that are not a fair or fun matchup. And this is a move in the opposite direction of saying, hey, Town Hall 10s are more likely to find Town Hall 10s, not necessarily, or excuse me, Town Hall 11s to find 11s and 10 to find 10s in multiplayer. It's not going to happen every time, but at least it's a move in that direction. So I think it's a good change there. They'll do more stuff like that. Town Hall 9 plus changes. All skeleton hit points reduced. Now, here's the one that a lot of people are moaning about, but honestly, this doesn't bother me. The purpose of a skeleton, or a witch, more or less, let's say that the purpose of a witch is to have this squishy target that has these even squishier targets out in front, but taking the shots and continue to regenerate that. Now, usually you use witches with multiples, and so you have a whole lot of these skeletons out there. But the skeletons are supposed to be extremely fragile. I mean, they're supposed to just fall apart when you touch them. So, I think it was always the intention that a shot from an archer tower or a cannon, or definitely like a mortar splash, would take out skeletons in one shot. And that's sort of the point. That's why they regenerate. Now, that being said, I do think they've nerfed skeletons down quite a bit now, that maybe they should consider bumping up the number of skeletons. Make them extremely fragile. Make it that where everything basically one-shots them. But with the next change that we're going to talk about in just a minute, I think they ought to bump up the number. Maybe add 2 skeletons per level, something like that. Tweak it, maybe just 1 skeleton per level. I think 2 would even be fair with the nerfs that are coming. And it might also help people continue to use them, because what they've done now, you're not going to see witches very much on attacks, in my opinion. So we talked about that. Skeletons spawn from witches no longer trigger traps. Now, this is a big one. This is even more important than the nerf to the hit points. This almost removes the skeleton's utility. Now, yes, it's a tank. It's a regenerating tank. But one of the main reasons you use skeletons, I've talked about it in videos a lot, is those skeletons are like little fingers. They just get out in front and they finger around and try to find those traps and expose them. And that was a huge example of their utility. Now they are just about tanking. They don't do a lot of damage. If you have a lot of them on there, they do, but your skeletons are going to be going away very quickly these days. And they don't have a lot of damage themselves. So without a buff to their numbers, I think you're going to pretty much see them not out there. I'm not crazy about the removal of them triggering traps. I do understand why they're doing it. They want things to be more strategic and less spammy, like we talked about earlier. And this is, most witch attacks are spam witches, 7, 8, 9, 10 witches going in, and there's not a whole lot of thought to it. You create your funnel, you spend your witches in, you drop a jump spell or a quake spell, and that's the attack. So I understand why they're doing it. I think at its core, what they're doing is good. They're trying to balance. They're trying to find things that are not a very skill-based attack, and they're trying to change it. So I'm not going to gripe about it, although I think you're going to see no witches unless you up the number of skeletons with the fact that they can't trigger traps now. Just my opinion. Goblin level 6 been moved to Town Hall 9. That's cool. No problem there. I think a lot of people that farm will like that. Doesn't really affect war much, but okay. Expo levels 2 to 4 damage increase. Now this is insane. This is so un-Supercell-like, and I'm excited about it. It's good. We've talked about it at length, that how Town Hall 9 has gotten too easy. It's gotten too easy, and here they come along and buff a Town Hall 9 defense. Now, obviously, this goes for Town Hall 10 and 11 as well, but Town Hall 9 is in need of a little bit of extra defensive power. Now, this sort of sucks for Town Hall 10 and 11 because they are still in need of more offensive power and balancing in that direction, and it goes across the whole spectrum. But just strictly looking at it from a Town Hall 9 standpoint, it's awesome. It's great. It's not a big buff, so maybe it won't be that big a deal at Town Hall 10 and 11. That's yet to be seen how much of an increase it'll be. But at its core, I think it's probably a good change. Town Hall 8 and up changes. Valkyrie damage increased, hit points decreased. This is an interesting change because I've talked You know, all the Valcow 2 videos and all that about how tanky they are, and they are. They're very tanky, but they also do a good chunk of damage. So to increase that damage, and they're also increasing, from what I understand, the how fast they attack when once they get on a target, they're gonna put that damage out there faster. Pretty insane. I think you're gonna see Valks everywhere at Town Hall 9, like everywhere. Every attack going to be a Go Vaho from this point, or a Go Vala or something like that. Because they're still going to be plenty tanky, I think, with a heal spell on them. We're all used to healing them up. And they're just going to take stuff out that much faster. I don't know about this one. We'll see. I mean, you know, it's good to see them try to balance things and shift things around, but might have missed the mark on this one. Let's see, we talked about attacking much faster. We got that. Wizard Towers level 5 through 9 hit points increase greatly, increasing at later levels. That's nice. Again, defensive buff for Town Hall 9, wonderful. The defensive buff for Town Hall 10 and 11, not so wonderful. So it's sort of a double-edged sword. We'll see. You know, we'll see. I don't. You know, greatly is a pretty strong word. So we'll see how much that is and how much more dangerous these things are. Now, most wizard towers on higher level attacks end up targeting a golem or something like that. If you do your attack correctly, you're not targeting a large group of wizards or something like that. So probably not the end of the world, not that big a deal, but it is interesting change. And again, maybe at Town Hall 9 it helps bring that back into balance a little bit. So not all bad there. Defending troops, but not heroes, flee from poison spells if they are standing idle. This is a pretty interesting change here. And another one that really surprised me out of Supercell, because it means they're listening. It means that they've heard us say this poison spell is too powerful. It makes CC troops an afterthought. It doesn't mean anything. Now, this does not fix the problem altogether, but you saw in my last live attack. I lured the CC out. It stays for one spot. I dropped 2 poison spells. No longer have to deal with the CC troops. This will no longer work. You're going to have to just sort of do it on the fly. Now, on the fly, it's still going to be extremely powerful because, 1, it slows that damage coming from those troops, and 2, it still ramps up and does a lot of damage. So as long as you're engaging and you're moving, they're not going to run away from it. This is just going to affect it if you lure them out, bring them to the corner, or leave them right where they're at and try to drop those poison spells on them. That's not going to work anymore. So it's something. I mean, give them props. It's something in the right direction of a completely overpowered ability or spell that we've got. So I'm going to give them a thumbs up on this one and say that's a nice change. I just assume Town Hall 9 and below not get poison spells, have it unlocked at Town Hall 10 and up. That would be a better fix for me. But hey, this is something. As we continue to move down, Town Hall 5 left, all dark spells. Brewing time decreased to 10 minutes. Very cool. Just a quality of life thing. No argument there. All elixir spells. Brewing time decreased to 20 minutes. Again, no problem. Speeds up farming, speeds up a lot of things. It's good. Good stuff there. Let's see. All levels. Battle time limit reduced to 3 minutes per attack once again. Okay. Now this is a big one. Let's talk about this a little bit. When the extra 30 seconds came, it was pretty much universally accepted that that was a good thing for Town Hall 10 and 11 and a bad thing for everything below. I don't know if it's not easy or possible to separate it that way and say, okay, if you're attacking a Town Hall 9 base or below, 8, 7, 6, 5, whatever, you only get 3 minutes. But if you are attacking a Town Hall 10 or 11, you get the extra 30 seconds. If that's a possibility, Supercell, please. The extra 30 seconds was a big step in the direction of bringing balance to Town Hall 10. Please bring that back for Town Hall 10 and 11 if you are listening. I think surely that's possible. If it is, I think you're going to get overwhelming support if you reach out and listen that nobody was complaining about the extra 30 seconds for Town Hall 10 and 11. They're still very hard to 3-star, even with that extra time, but it does let you develop attacks more. It lets you do your Queen Walk longer. It lets you segment attacks more and have a better chance at 3 stars there. So I really think this was a swing and a miss. I think it's good again for Town Hall 9. The defensive buffs, the nerf to the poison, and the removal of 30 seconds. You have rejuvenated Town Hall 9 or scene. So kudos to you. Yes, it happened right as I moved to Town Hall 10, but I do not regret. I got a lot of questions about that. I do not regret it. I'm happy that I moved to Town Hall 10. I have no regrets there. I wish that I'd got to experience this a little bit towards the end, but hey, it's no big deal. But you've done a service to Town Hall 9 War people. You really have, Supercell, but you have done a tremendous disservice to Town Hall 10 and 11. Please give them back their 30 seconds. Give us, I guess I can say now, back the 30 seconds. We need it. We need it. It's still very, very hard. And I know there's some things coming in this update, guys. So everybody remain calm. This is just we haven't got to the sneak peeks yet. Yes, there's a new troop coming. We all know that. We all know that. We don't know how much it's going to change Town Hall 10 and Town Hall 11 attacking yet. We don't know that yet. It's an unknown. I still say we probably are going to need that extra 30 seconds. So I would like to see that come back. So Supercell, come on. Come on. You can split it up. That's another thing I want to talk about is what's coming in this update. You know, this is a little breakdown here, but this is so much more information than we've ever gotten about an update before it came out. It makes me wonder what else is coming because you know there's good stuff. Now I hear things. You know, you get little leaks and people sort of send me messages and, hey, here's what I know and here's where I got it from type things. So I think I've got a pretty good grasp on what's coming, and I think it's all good. You know, is it the update we've been begging for? No. Again, there's no Arrange Wars. There's no, what else? I can't think, draw a blank here. There's no Arrange Wars. There's no, you know, new game mode. Yes, there is going to be a new troop, but probably just one. That's okay. One at a time is fine. But there is some major things that the war community is asking for. But yes, this is I guess you have to say, this is a war update. This is one for us, and there are some good things in it. But again, on top of my list is the fact that Supercell is just communicating. They're open. They're more receptive. I think they are listening more. I think they are responding more, and that in itself will make this game move in the right direction. So let's all just pray it continues. Let's play to listening to this. There's some other things in the update that they've talked about that we've already heard about. The 35 versus 35 and 45 versus 45 being removed. I think that's insane. I think that's a terrible move. We've already talked about that one. The war win streak, we went over all those in the previous update video. So this is just sort of new information, going over it, letting you know what I think. Overall, I give this a thumbs up. I really do. Probably one of the best post and update sort of attempt that Supercell has had in a very long time. And again, going forward, the Balancing Blog series. Oh, that just sounds so good. Sounds so good coming out of Supercell. So give them credit where credit's due, guys. I know this is not perfect. They've missed a few things, but they're trying, and hopefully they will continue to try. Hopefully they will continue to listen to our feedback and tweak this. Again, this balancing series, let's continue to balance it. Let's get it right. Let's help them get it right. You know, with constructive feedback, saying here's what we think we need, here's what we think is broken, here's what we think needs adjusted, and hopefully they continue to listen, continue to adjust it, and we all get where we want to be, which is that perfect sweet spot where we all love wars and we just can't wait for them to get started, and we plan our attacks, and when we fail it, we want to pull our hair out, and when we succeed, it's the best feeling ever. So that's where we all want to get to, hopefully with Supercell's help. We will get there in 2016. It's going to be the year to make Clash great again, just like the video I put out. Hopefully all that stuff comes before the end of the year and we're all just celebrating and enjoying what Supercell has done for us. So there you go, guys. That's my thoughts. Until next time, Jake from One Hive doing my best to help you guys suck less.